Welcome to Joy Junk Tea. I'm Rhonda and I just want to share something with you today. I have done a project for Los MiMis Armoire and I just love how it turned out. I think it's very sweet and I just wanted to share it with you today. So I made this sweet little journal and I'll show you exactly what my thoughts were whenever I started. So I had this printed out from one of her kits and I just kept envisioning this being the front of the journal and this being the back, and so I trimmed out all the white but I left this between, and so that was my fold. So I folded here and I folded here, which left me this white section here. So I needed to sturdy it up because this is just cardstock and I wanted to have something on the back side of these photos. So this one worked perfect too, to do the same thing and use this as my middle. So my plan was to use this as the front and this is the back side of it on the inside of the journal. So it would be the back of these, but I wanted to have some fabric in between and you know, just have kind of like a little flowy, shabby fabric coming out from between them. So my plan was to have these glued together, but as I started playing and putting things together, gluing and sewing, getting it good and sturdy, I ended up leaving them separate, which I could have actually made 2 separate journal covers, but I just really liked the layered effect. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you some of the details and explain it as I go. Okay, so like I said, this is my front and this is my back. And so in between here is that little white strip that I left between them. So I sewed this to a piece of tissue paper, and it actually has a really waxy feel. I've never seen tissue paper like this, so I'm not sure. I got it at a little shop when they wrapped up something glass for me, so I just saved it. And so I used a strip of that inside that cover all along the edges and just distressed it a little bit. But in between those, I put this little piece of gathered up lace I had from a blouse. So I just wedged that between as I sewed and just gave it a really good little stitch around the edges. So that makes the cover, and I just added this sweet little clock charm, and just to kind of tone down the gold, I added some little white chalk paint to the raised edges on it, just to kind of give it a little bit of a softer look. And I have this little rag strip bow that I attached there. And then I have this beautiful rose ribbon, and it had wire in it, but I just pulled that out and I just wrapped over the spine there with it to cover the white strip, to cover my twine. So I thought that gave a really nice effect to it, and it makes it just have a really soft look about it. Okay, so I love that it's shabby looking. I wanted it, all these different layers and textures sticking out from the edges, and so that was my purpose. So as I started putting it together, so here I had a piece of the onion skin paper, kind of like tracing paper. I had printed this on it from the kit, and then here's a little postcard that was in there, so I'm using that as a pocket. And then this was all together in one piece, and I just ripped them apart and made 3, and I put a little brad and a little bitty old strip of fabric there, just a little remnant piece there. And so these just tuck in this pocket, and this I just backed it, cut out 2 and backed them together and wrapped some little lace remnant around it. So that slips into this pocket too. And then here's just a little piece of a A little table doily, really pretty and old. And then this is the piece that I was planning on gluing to the back of the cover. But the more I looked at it, I just loved that you could see all the layers and how scrappy it was. And so I ended up finding this little piece off of a collar. And so I just folded this down at the top to where I could hang a little charm from it that I filled with one of the photos. And I glued it here so that I could make it a little pocket. And I put one of her cute little Easter lamb tags in there and another little receipt tag. So those slip right back down in here. And I loved it so much that I couldn't cover it up or glue. And this was basically made with two pieces. So this was just a little remnant I had, and this was a little remnant I had. So I just put them together because I really liked just the different textures and layers there. And I love how this turned out on the top, making a pocket. Here I just added a little bit of yarn. So this was the piece I was going to use for the inside cover. But now that it's a part of the book, a page in the book, I took and added this little piece of a hanky to the bottom. So that is on each end of it, like that. So it just makes pockets on each side. And this was from one of the kits, and I just put them together. So I just stapled these together, and those slip down in that pocket. And then this is just another one of those little receipt tags, and I just joined them with another little remnant piece here. Added some book page, and then this folds here with a little pocket, so let me get something for that. So here's a little tag we can put in there. Here's just a little bag, and I just took and stapled some little remnant pieces there and added a little button. And then I stamped on it with some stamps from Sam Poole. And inside this little bag, I just have this little booklet that I just tied with some twine, so you can pull all the pages out if you need to. Very simple. Just slides in there. And then here is another piece from the kit. And it had like a little piece of tape that, you know, in the design. So I just cut around it and glued it as though it was actually a real piece of tape and just glued it to the edge there. And then here is a cute little bunny tag that I just added some crepe paper ruffle to and a little rusty paper clip to hold it. And on the other side is another piece of the ephemera from the kit. And I'll link all the kits below. So here I stamped another stamp on this with some pink ink. And it's just little bits of paper. Here's another piece of ephemera, and it's attached to a CD envelope that you'll see on the other side. And I just made a little fold over pocket here with this little photo. And here's another book page. And then here I just used my punch and did these little circles here from the different little scrap pieces I had and just glued them back to back on those strings so they can hang really cute. So it's just a real simple journal, but I love how vintage it feels. And here's that CD envelope. And so I put the flap backwards so that when you turn this over you can get to the ephemera inside, and it's just this little photo. So I just dressed it up with this little piece of lace. And then here is another little pocket that we can put something in. So here's this piece we'll put in here. I just kind of pulled some old pages, coffee dyed paper. Here's the other side of that little bag, and in it I just have a little journaling card, little booklet. page. And this was 2 postcards I put back to back, and I just attached them with fabric in between so that then I would have something to glue to the page for it to be a little flip. And so I left the inside open, and this is what I put inside. This little piece of ephemera. And so those just stick down in here. And here's that other pocket in the back. And I just took some of these little pieces that I had printed on the onion skin paper, and there's one on cardstock. And so those just slip down in this pocket. And here I used one of the Tim Holtz little mini clips, and it's just this really cool old piece of ephemera, and I just stapled this to the back. But I love that one. And then here's the other side of that little doily, and here's another pocket, and on this one I just used a little scrap of lace, and I added this little piece of ephemera just like that. And there you have it. So I hope you like that. I had a lot of fun making it. Super simple, but very, very sweet. So real quick before I go, I wanted to just tell you about a couple more things I did. So as you open the front cover, I glued a few more strips of that tissue paper to the edge there just to extend it, to strengthen it, and it gives it a really pretty little shabby look. And then I also added some rag strips and some buttons to the inside of the covers so that you would have something to actually tie it with, just in case you want to close the book. And here I just wanted to show you how pretty it looks all closed up with all those layers. I added another tag. I glued a little toilet paper medallion to the bottom of it, and then it just tucks into that little bag with that medallion sticking over the top of it. Here's a little flower that I cut from a doily, and I just attached it with a rusty safety pin to that edge where it was a little bit uneven, and it just looks so pretty peeping out the side of the book. I hope y'all enjoyed that, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next video. God bless.